The feeling of flight has never been more accessible today than with the help of FPV drones. However, without the right guidance, it can seem extremely complicated. So in this video, I will be using my 4 years of FPV experience to share with you what the best options to get into FPV drones are today with your preferences. This is a video you're going to want to save and refer as you go down your FPV journey to make sure you have everything you need. After researching the many routes to start FPV, one of the best ways I've deemed is to first pick your controller. The first question to ask when going down the FPV journey is, do you want your journey to be streamlined or customizable? Based on your answer, the controller you decide to buy will differ. If you want to go streamlined and not have to worry about picking parts, then the remote I'd recommend you getting is the DJI Remote Controller 3. A lot of pilots won't suggest this controller because it does lock you out of customizability. However, if you really want to just get into the air as soon as possible with a drone, that will be the way to go. If you'd like to go the customizable route, the questions to ask are, do you care more about price or versatility? If price is a priority to you, I'd recommend something like the Radio Master Pocket. It's still very usable as an FPV remote, and it doesn't break the bank. If you want something with more versatility, then I'd recommend something like the Radio Master Boxer. It's a nice, sizable, multi-protocol remote, so you don't have to decide on your module right away. For my custom drones, I personally use the Tango 2, which is an older remote, but it's very, very portable, which is the main reason I like it. I wouldn't recommend it today, but if portability is your main factor, this might be something you'd want to look into. Once you've decided what remote you wanted, it's time to get into part 2, which is choosing your simulator. When I first got into FPV, the simulator I used was Velocidrone. However, after doing some research and a very good video that Brody Reed made, I noticed that Velocidrone is quite race focused. So if you want to pick a more versatile simulator option that covers all your bases, you might want to go with Liftoff. However, if you do want a good racing simulator to focus on that, DRL simulator might be a great one for you. Both are at a very understandable price point of like $10 to $20. Super worth it. You'll save hundreds of dollars not crashing your drones in the long run. That is why the simulator is one of the first purchases you should be making. Once you have your controller and simulator, it's training time. Cue the music. And once you have your simulator, you're gonna wanna start practicing in this. The main things you're gonna wanna practice are hovering in place, making sure you have full control of your drone, making sure you can pitch back and forward so you can fly back and forward, making sure you understand turns, and making sure you can control your altitude. Once you can do those main things, then you're pretty set, but I would spend at least a couple hours playing in the simulator. While the simulators don't feel one-to-one in reality, I would still recommend practicing in there for at least a couple hours before flying. I promise you, it will save you a lot of money, of broken parts in the long run. As you're spending time practicing in the simulator, the next things you're going to want to consider purchasing is your module. The reason I said I wouldn't recommend my Tango 2 today is because it runs Crossfire, which is a very good module that can go up to a couple kilometers, but you are locked into Crossfire, and nowadays it seems like their parts are getting harder to find. And over the last couple years since I made my last tutorial, ELRS has been making bigger and bigger waves. Not only because it's an open source protocol, which means that any company can make ELRS parts, but the performance apparently is actually getting better than Crossfire and cheaper. The only downside is it isn't as straightforward as setting up Crossfire or DJI. So if you're okay with that, you can go with ELRS. However, Crossfire is still a great option, and if you pick DJI, the reason why it's so streamlined is that the O3 Air unit, where is it? Give me that thing. This DJI O3 Air unit is not only a module that binds with your remote, it's also a video transmission system, which means it's sending feed to the goggles. Typically, these are two different parts, which leads us to our next thing to consider, which is the VTX, the video transmission system. Your video transmission system is what is communicating your view from the drone to the goggles. If you're going the streamlined path and you already picked DJI, then that leaves you with two main options. You can either go with the O3 Air unit, or going with DJI's pre-built drone series, including the Avata series or the DJI Neo. Disclosure, once you pick into the DJI drone series, you're pretty much locked in. You don't have to worry about getting a VTX. You don't have to worry about getting a module, propellers, a bunch of different parts, because this is all in one and you're pretty much ready to go once you get your goggles. That also means, like an Apple product, you can't really change anything about it. So you get what you get. And to be honest, it's not that bad of a deal. And if you want to learn more about the Avata 2, I'll be uploading a new video about my use of it for the last 5 months. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to stay updated for that. If you want to go a more modular route, there are other options for VTXs such as walk snail, HD0, and other analog components. However, full disclosure, I only primarily use DJI, and the reason is because it's done me wonders over the last 4 years. There are pros to the other modules, such as analog being a little bit lower latency in exchange for lower image quality, but in my experience, DJI has been amazing, so that would be my recommendation, but feel free to explore other options for yourself. Alright, you've been practicing in the simulator, you've got a couple key components. Now it's time for the fun part, which is getting your first pair of goggles. This is definitely one of the symbols of FPV, and definitely the thing you're going to be getting one of the most compliments and comments about when you're outside flying. If you're going the DJI route, there's thankfully only a small handful of options to choose from, including the Goggles 2 or Goggles Integra, or the DJI Goggles 3. The Goggles 2 and Integra came out a couple years ago along with the DJI Avata 1, however it still works with the DJI Avata 2, and is currently cheaper than the Goggles 3 by about $150. The Goggles 3 are the newest goggles by DJI that came out with the Avata 2, and they're great. Honestly, there's not a huge difference between the Integra and the Goggles 3. These things have slightly better displays, it's a little bit more comfortable on the eyes and the face, but it is future-proof. So if DJI releases an 04 air unit, the chances are it won't work with the Integra and Goggles 2, and you will want to use the 3. By the way, I know this is a lot for one video, so I actually mapped out a flowchart to organize not only the video, but my own thoughts about what the best way to get into FPV today is. If you want that, there's a link in my bio. Go ahead and click it, and I will be able to send it to you. If you made it this far, congratulations. We are at the finish line. Woo! Okay, so you've got everything on the list so far. Now it is time to buy your drone. If you're choosing into the DJI ecosystem, there's a small handful of options for you to choose from. The main two I would choose are, for price, the DJI Neo, which is like $200, small little toy you can fly around, or if you want a drone that can capture really beautiful cinematic footage and is smart so you can level up with it, unlocking newer and newer features, Avata 2 would be the one I would recommend. If you're going the custom built routes, ask yourself one more question. Do you want to fly precisely or fast? If you want to fly precisely, you're going to want to go with a Cinewhoop, which is a drone that is protected and can fly indoors around people, is a little bit safer. If you want to go fast, you might want to go for a 5-inch drone. This is what I started with because this is what you use to freestyle, this is what you use to chase cars, fly outdoors. It's a lot of fun. It's also more dangerous, so keep that in mind. And honestly, nowadays, because I'm flying professionally around people and in sets, the drones I'm using most of the time are Cinewhoops. This is the part where you could go and build a drone from scratch, buying the frame, motors, flight controller, ESC, air units, propellers, camera, all of it, and try to figure it out. But I would recommend, before doing that, for a beginner, to buy a BNF, which is a bind and fly drone. These are drones that come pre-built from the factory, and if you crash it, then you can figure out how to fix it as opposed to trying to put it all together at once. That way you can model how the drone is built by a professional and learn from that process. But if you want to just go straight into it, go for it. That's what I did. Just took me a lot longer. Oh, what the fuck? The top drones I'd recommend for Cinewhoops would be the Beta FPV Pavo series. I use the Pavo 25, where is it? It's in my bag, hold on. This is the Beta FPV Pavo 25. It flies great. I use it for concerts. I use it to fly around people, and it's pretty dang good. It can't hold a full-size action camera or GoPro or Osmo though. If you wanted to carry a full-size action camera on your drone, then the Beta FPV Pavo 35 might be a better choice for you. For 5-inch drones, one of the top recommendations for a BNF by the FPV community is the GEP RC Mark V. Not only is it pretty affordable and cost efficient compared to other options like the Nazgul Evoke, but flies like a dream, great tune, great out of the box, as long as you know what you're doing because you flew in a simulator, right? Yes. Once you have everything on this list so far, you have everything you need to fly besides a couple accessories, including batteries and a charger. For smaller drones, you're probably going to be using something like these 4S, 3S, or 2S batteries. For a 5-inch or something bigger, you're gonna be wanting to use a 6S. If you buy a pre-built, then it will tell you on the item what cell count the drone is, so just make sure you buy the batteries with the same S. All right, You've got all your parts, you've bound them together, you've spent time in the simulator. Time to take this thing out for a real run. When you're doing this, make sure to take it easy. Do your best to find a space with softer ground, no one around, no trees to get stuck in. Just bring the drone up, hover it, move very slowly, and if you crash, know that it's totally normal. It is a huge part of this game to crash. It's how we get better. And that's one of the pros of buying a custom drone and learning how to build and fix it, is replacing parts if it gets broken becomes a lot more affordable. So keep that in mind as you're going down this decision-making route. And remember, pushing the limits is great, especially in FPV, but safety is the priority. Especially with the growing news coverage that drones have in the world, we don't have a great look right now, guys. The best thing we can do is make a good, positive case for drones by representing them in the best way possible. And with that in mind, pat yourself on the back. Because this journey of FPV can be arduous, but it is a fun, amazing privilege to have, to be able to feel like you're flying in the air and share that experience with the world. Thanks for watching. This has been Kai, and if you like one of these videos, go ahead and take a look at them. You might enjoy it. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.